Good morning to those of you out there on the East Coast. Good afternoon to those of you here on the West Coast with me. I'm excited to get started on today's training. We're going to cover down on being findable and attractive. We need to be able to help our customers find us, right? And federal buyers in particular, how do we make sure that they're able to find us when they're looking? I appreciate you getting engaged in the chat. Do me a favor, throw your core competency in there, 2 or 3 words. You'd be amazed how often I get reached out to by people looking for a company like yours, and I need to be able to remember what your company sells pretty easily. I was doing a training Friday the 14th, so a few days ago, and in that training, I kept referencing this company, 6E Technologies, whose one of their core competencies is Oracle. And what I was trying to say is, look, I hadn't even talked to the CEO in months and months and months. But because I knew what she did and they were pretty focused, it was so easy for me to understand. And I've known her for years. So those kind of things sink in. And the more we try to sit there and say we sell a lot, the harder it is for somebody like me or federal buyers, et cetera, who want to help you. It's harder for us to remember what you sell. So try to be narrowing down, niching down on what you sell. Okay, so let's get started just diving right into being findable and attractive to federal buyers. People buy from those they know, like, and trust. This is a common sign out there, or a common phrase out there, that people buy from those they know, like, and trust. And when I had my government contracting businesses, they used to say that a little less, and what they said more was it wasn't about what you knew. It's not about what you know, it's about who knows you, right? Or who you know is what they said. But I like to say it's about how can these people find you, right? It's about who can know of you, who can find you. And hence the reason I use this tagline of be findable and attractive. That's what visibility is. And that's what we're going to go into. Really just giving you an understanding of where I came up with this whole line of coaching and teaching that I do about being visible to the federal buyers was when I sold my last company at the end of 2017. I was going into 2018 I had started a whole nother company before I started the GovCon Chamber. And so right there in the end of 2017, 2018, it's when I first became aware of the dynamic small business search. And it really became the first place I was aware of the process behind how the government does market research. I used to go to events because people would say go to events, or I had all these different kind of meetings or matchmaking activities or sessions. But those weren't really helpful to me, right? And when I sold my last company and I was preparing to do the right thing with a new company or GovCon Chamber, I began to teach people how to reach the federal buyer. That's when I found out about being visible and what I'm going to teach you today, right? And I was pretty pissed, actually. I mean, I wrote here I was pretty mad, but I was pissed. When I found out that the dynamic small business search, which is basically SAM.gov and DSBS, these 2 tools run by 2 different organizations, GSA and SBA. Together, they make up your small business profile. And I was furious that no one had just talked about it over and over again. When I realized it, the reason I was so mad is because we had built a really good company. In fact, I had done 2 different really good companies, one after the other kind of thing. But I didn't realize that we were invisible to all the federal buyers, that we did not knock on their door, because they really had no way of finding us in their market research process. And that's what I'm going to teach you today. Being findable and attractive, or being visible to the federal buyer, is about making it easy so that people can find you when they want to find a company like yours. And I'll talk more about that. I think the reason many people don't teach this is that we, experts are out there like me or something. They come up and they learn this, they understand it, they start teaching it. But I've found that I think a lot of these people get tired of teaching the very basics. And it's funny for me when I hear people say, you should watch Neil's training. It's really good for companies just getting started. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, but it's really good for a $100 million company, because what I teach is process. In fact, a lot of what I teach is beyond people who are just getting started. But because it seems like such a basic thing to make your company visible in these basic ways, like in SAM and DSBS, et cetera, that I'll talk about, because it seems so basic, people stop teaching it and they start teaching more advanced functionality. And I describe that as like silver bullets or hacks or secrets. It's like, well, forget about those for a second. have you even hung out a shingle? It's an old phrase, right? But have you even hung out a shingle saying, hey, we're open for business. So when people walk by the sidewalk, they go, oh, hey, look at that store. They do haircuts, or they do cybersecurity or whatever, right? And so I dive into that. And that's why I'm excited today to kind of tackle this topic. I've tackled it minimum 300 times since 2018. But we're going to be driving into how to help federal buyers find your company, right? Don't leave it up to them. It's like, oh, well, if they wanted to find me, they would. And literally, I have felt that way as well. And I'm like, what are you doing? It's your responsibility to make it easy for the other person to find you. If you want that relationship with your customer, make it easy for them. And I'm going to give you the tips on how to do that, not just conceptually say, hey, go do it. I'm going to give you really specific tips. I'm going to break today's training up into 3 sections. We're going to talk about how to be findable and attractive, or excuse me, what is findable and attractive? I want to dive a little bit more into that. First off, the more you understand that, that's kind of the why behind the what and the how. Second, I'm going to cover down on how federal buyers find companies like yours when they're looking for you. So this is the process side of it. I want you to understand their activities. And then I'm going to wrap up with 3 steps that you can take to 10x your visibility to federal buyers. And when I say 10x, right, if you're invisible, you're going to become visible. If you're kind of visible, you're going to be 10 times as visible. That 10x is a little overused, but it's so appropriate because you want to 10x your visibility. And frankly, if you're in the 100 club, which I'll talk about in a minute, you want to then go look at that and say, how can I 10x my visibility again? If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonald. I want to welcome you to my federal sales training where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I'm the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. I am co-founder of GovCon in a Box. And since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting, it's not a secret. It's just a process. When you follow a process A to Z, you're going to have repeatable, predictable results. This is what I want for you. This is what I did after I got out of the Army and I had my own 2 government contracting businesses. It was a process. I followed a process, and then I improved that process, and that's what I keep teaching. If you're not connected with me, connect with me on LinkedIn. If you're going to hit connect, then send me a little note that says, hey, saw your training. Let's connect. Just something that gives me context, right? And then otherwise, you just hit the follow button that's out there. And then if you haven't subscribed to the Government Contracting Success newsletter, do so. If you were subscribed like 23,000 other people, then you would have saw yesterday me giving you guidance on how to register in NAVAIR, the Naval Air Systems Command in the Navy, right? You would have seen me lay out the step-by-step guidance for registering in their supplier portal. So when I talk about being visible, I'm not talking about supplier portals at that level today, but you would have found that you would have got in there and been a little bit more visible. I did want to do a shout out to Narayan Mims. I see you in there from Red Solution. Good to see you back in here. I'm always doing SharePoint stuff, and I see him down there, M365 and SharePoint. Hey, I want to just congratulate the companies that are in the 100 Club. Out of 370,000 small businesses, right around that number, only 160 of them are in the 100 Club. That means they have a score of 100 out of 100 in our federal visibility score. This is a score I just calculated that says, how visible are you to federal buyers? I'm going to talk more about that in today's training, so that'll work out good for everybody. But go to govconinabox.com and you'll be able to check out your score and find tips for getting to success. I'll talk more about that in a minute. Just because today happens to be about visibility. All right, so let's talk about what's findable and attractive. I love this when I was trying to describe visibility. What does it mean to be visible to a federal buyer? The first thing is you need to be findable. They need to be able to see you when they go searching, right? The second thing is you need to be attractive. So if somebody is going to the zoo, and they want to, I don't know if this analogy is going to work, but if they're going to the zoo and they want to sit there and see, I almost said a giraffe, but giraffes don't hide as much. But let's say a penguin or something, right? If they want to see a penguin, well, the first thing they want to do is to see him. And so if I show up in the pen, the zoo pen, it's all blocked in. I can't see anything. Or I'm walking by, I don't even know where the penguins are. I don't have any map to get to the penguins. Or when I come by where I think they're at, they're hidden. That's findable. I need to be able to find something. And attractive is when I look in this pen and I said I'm looking for a penguin, I don't want to see a parakeet, although those are pretty cool. And I don't want to see whatever other birds are out there that I can't think of at the moment. I'm trying to think of what's the one with the big, huge tails? Yeah, I can't think of that. But anyways, you know what I'm saying. I don't want to show up thinking I'm going to see a penguin, and instead I see a parakeet, or worse, I see a lion. I'm like, well, that's not what I wanted to see. Did the lion eat the penguin? And so for you, Findable and Attractive is you should be able to align this to your company and what you sell, right? Findable is they can find you when they look for you. So government buyers, whether it's program office people doing early market research, or whether it's acquisition related people going a little farther down doing more formal market research, they're going to come out and you need to show up in the results of their efforts. Whatever their effort is to do market research, to look to the industry, to learn from companies like yours, you need to show up in the results. Whether they reject you or not is a whole separate question. But the worst thing is to not even be considered enough to be rejected, right? Not even to be found and to be rejected. Typically, findability means keywords and key phrases, and I'll talk about this in the next slide about how they do that. But that generally is what it's like. Think Google. When you go to search for a plumber or something, you go to Google, you type in your search term, and you see results. That's exactly it. I just want you to show up. I don't care about you being on the first page of a Google search result if you're not on any of the pages. First thing we need to do is get you on the pages. Then we work to get you higher and higher. Attractive is making sure you're matching the search intent of that market researcher. So when the market researcher goes out and they're searching a term, let's say cybersecurity, what they don't want to see is your description of your company and what you sell to describe everything in the kitchen sink. Especially if you're a small business under 10 million, you should be niched down. We're data, we're flooring, right? We're road work, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It just needs to be narrowed down. When they look at you as a small business, they need to sit there and go, oh, that company seems like it has an expertise or a niche. And by the way, I'm talking about federal buyers, but this goes with prime contractors. I get large businesses coming to me all the time. Actually, now they're starting to thank me for GovCon in a Box, because they don't have to come to me as much. They go to GovCon in a Box and are able to run some searches and find small businesses who are findable and attractive to them. So keep in mind that everybody out there would use it, even for teaming, right? You might use it. So attractive. Another thing is, the first thing is they want to see that you're matching the search intent. The second thing is they want to see you've been paid for this type of work before, right? It's pretty simple past performance. If you have not been paid for this, don't worry about it, and don't go knocking on agency doors is my recommendation. Go get subcontracting. Go team up with somebody else just to get to 100,000 or something else. I hear about people like getting excited. They got their first piece of revenue and it was a prime contract with a federal agency. To me, it's like you skipped high school and college ball to go play in the professional league. Sure, you can get in there, but man, it's going to be brutal. And you're going to be sitting on the bench a lot. But if you went through high school and college, let's say football, right? High school and college teams, then you would learn and you'd have all these skills that would build up, and you'd have coaches at different levels that move forward. And so subcontracting is kind of like that. If you're below, if you're not making any revenue, definitely find another business. It's a whole nother training, but make sure you find another business, because that's also how you can start getting paid for the work so that you can put it into your marketing material. And this goes back to being attractive. Now you've got something that says, not only do I sell this, but I've been paid by these people. Okay, so that's what is findable and attractive. By the way, put visibility rocks in there. Hey, Ryan, I see the yes. Put visibility rocks. Let me know that you understand you need to be findable and attractive to the federal buyer, and that is visibility. So let me walk you through, while you're doing that, let me walk you through the process of how federal buyers find companies like yours. Kevin Peacock, thank you. I don't know if anybody else said that, but I just saw that and I just remembered I asked that question. Thank you. Okay, so there's a lot of different ways that a government buyer, federal buyer can find a company like yours. And I've done 100 trainings on this that you can go find the free replays, right? But for the basic part of it, they can find you because you are an incumbent already winning a contract. They can find you because you submitted a proposal or an RFI response, and now you're on their radar, right? You're in their system. They can find you through using contract vehicles. So there's all these other ways. Today, I'm just talking about the dynamic small business search tool, your small business profile, because it is the #1 market research tool. used by the federal buyers. It's the only one mentioned in the FAR, right? And and what the FAR talks about and what the guidance to the buyers are. Hey, you need to consider small businesses in your market research. So consider using this DSBS tool that was specifically built by SBA together with GSA to sit there and say, hey, here are a pool of small business vendors who want to work with your agency. Look here. There's a lot of agencies, just like I said a minute ago, where NavAir has their own supplier portal. There's a lot of other portals out there, but nothing beats the Dynamic Small Business Search. And when I say the Dynamic Small Business Search or DSBS, that includes SAM. Your SAM registration is under that in this case. So here's a pretty simple 4-step process that they use. And I'm simplifying it down. You can go watch a ton of training. I have an entire course on DSBS, like 5-hour course on how to rock your visibility out there on YouTube. In fact, you can go find that. But basically, when a federal buyer goes into DSBS and they're looking for a business like yours, the first thing they're going to search on is keywords. Somebody might sit there and say they're going to search on NAICS codes or PSC or any of these other things. But the problem with those is they're too broad. If I search on 541, 511, or 512, which is basically software development, I'm going to get tens of thousands of results, right? So if I've ever used DSBS, which most federal buyers have, right? I'm going to know that. So I'm not even going to waste my time there. I'm going to narrow it down. And generally a keyword could be really helpful. Like if I do risk management framework or elevator services. Now, elevator services also has a pretty good NAICS code, similar with American Sign Language, right? American Sign Language, I think, has one NAICS code that's perfect for it. The problem with that NAICS code is it also includes, Chinese to American or American to Spanish, et cetera, right? So it includes all translations, not just sign language. And so if I search on, quote, American Sign Language, the chances of me finding small businesses that sell that are it'll narrow down the results, but I'll find more likely only companies that are doing that, not doing a whole bunch of other things. So keyword search is the first thing they do. Then they get a list of results and they look at this thing called the capabilities narrative. And so they scroll down the capabilities narrative. First thing is, if you don't have it, they're not even looking at you. Second thing is, if it's really half-baked, they're not going to really look at it. They're going to put as much effort into looking at it as you put to building it. And then the third kind of naysay on it is, if it's too convoluted, like you're selling too many things, they're going to skip you and keep on going down. If I'm looking for cybersecurity and I see that you do everything, I'm just going to keep looking. No big deal. I'm just scrolling down the results, and I'll show you in a second. But why would I stop there when I can come down and go, here's a company that's cybersecurity. And when I say those 3 words, I mean like there's a sentence, 3 different sentences that really give me the impression that you do cybersecurity. The third step they take is they go into your profile and they make a lot of subliminal judgments. And when I say subliminal, I literally mean sometimes they might not even know they're doing it, but I'll show you really quickly how that happens. And then the last thing they do is at the very bottom of your profile, you demonstrate that you've been paid for this before. If you haven't, they go, well, I'm really looking for somebody who's got a little traction. So, okay, let me move on. Right? That you can understand this. Do you want somebody building your deck or, working on your cars, never worked on a car before kind of thing? No, and so if you want to sit there and be a mechanic in that example, just go work with a mechanic who's got some proven business, build up your chops, and then you can add that in as experience. So let me show you this in DSBS really quick. Let me make sure I'm sharing DSBS. Good. Okay, so this is Dynamic Small Business Search. Just go to dsbs.sba.gov. And you can also do this in GovCon in a box. It's actually way better and faster, but we'll talk about that later. So in here, let's just say I'm going to do, since my friend Narayan's there, and this was my last company anyways, I'm just going to say I'm looking for SharePoint. Oh, hey, they fixed the tool and I can't hit enter now. Come on. Yeah. So for years and years and years, all I had to do was type a word, hit enter, and now they've fixed the tool and I can't just hit enter. Come on, developers, you're killing me here. Okay, so this will take a minute. Oh, by the way, I can come over here and just show you as an example. And for the fun of it, let me just give Red some love here. Oh man, how many Reds are there? 49? Where are you? Narayan, I forgot the company name. I thought it was Red Solutions. Now I'm feeling really embarrassed. Did I get it right? No, there you go. So I can come in here and let me just show you the inside of the profile here really quick. Like I'm looking for the results to load, and that's the table, and I'll show you. But I'm going to jump down to the subliminal things. If you see here, I'm looking at Red Solution. By the way, Narayan, really quick, I would tell you, see where it says capabilities link and it goes to certify SBA. Go to connect.sba.gov right now and change that so that it goes to your website. You don't want, and this is for all of you, you don't want the link to go to SBA. You want it to go to your website so they get your capability statement and then they explore. So some subliminal things are like the email address, making sure it's a person, right? So here's Sarita Johnson. Coming down, this is another subliminal one. Do you accept credit cards? The answer should always be yes. It doesn't mean you have to take it. You don't ever have to sell to anybody if you don't want to. But here, if you say no, they go, well, how can I give you $1 million contract if you can't even take a credit card? Another subliminal thing, I'm just going to come down. By the way, talk to these guys for Microsoft 365 and SharePoint. But right here, you see they've got really good narratives. And so they can come in, the buyer can come in and look and go, oh, they do process automation, Power BI. Okay, I see this, some Power Virtual Agents. I don't really know, right? I'm just going through, but the market researcher, they'll know what it is. So as they're coming down, they see a basic amount of NAICS, and they're all looking like they're fairly related. Keywords don't really matter, except for that helps you get found. And then I can come down here, and I can see these guys have won multiple contracts in here. And so this is good. In Congress, they've won multiple stuff. And so that is a very quick review of subliminal, right? Let me come over here. So this is step 1 and 2. You remember step 1 was kind of do that search and then review the results. And so this is what a buyer will see when they do SharePoint. We got 323 companies came up. And so when I look at this, I start coming down. And the first one I'm looking at, it really doesn't look like it's anything SharePoint. Like the third bullet says SharePoint. And no offense to this company, but I'm just telling you how I look at it. If they want to sell SharePoint, they want to redo it. But as I come down, global commerce, I'm looking at, so these guys do IT, cybersecurity, Oracle, they do everything. As a market researcher, that's not what I'm looking for, right? And so I'm not going to go through all these people, but imagine if I came across Narayan's Red Solutions, who we were just doing. Let me see if I can do that one really quickly. So they were in 8A. Let's just say I choose 8A, SharePoint's still there. And let's see if that thing runs a little faster this time. Oh, good, it did. So now I search for 8As that say they do SharePoint, and I'm coming up with 88 companies. And I can start scrolling through here. And here, number five here is Red Solutions, right? And if I start reading it, we specialize in SharePoint and Power Platform Solutions. It doesn't mean they do everything, they can't do everything else. They can, but it does mean that they specialize in SharePoint. So thanks, Ryan, for letting me do that. Let me get back to my slides. Okay, so just remember, that's how they search. And this is a very simple way of telling you, but it's related to visibility using DSBS. They search on keywords, then they look at your narrative in that table of results, and they kind of pick and choose which ones they want to go dig further into. And then they make those subliminal judgments like, are you, credit? Do you have a credit card thing there? Are your NAICS codes related to each other? And then they check past performance in there. Okay, so let's go. First off, I just want to thank our sponsors for today's live. So these sponsors rotate. Sometimes they're in there for a while, but the sponsors are the ones who help us make this possible. We don't get funding from the SBA or anybody else, and so we do this training for you through the help of companies like Graham, who does staffing and American Sign Language services, Steel Toed, who does cybersecurity and CMMC. Reach out to them for the DoD CMMC journey that you're on if you're over there. Silk River Capital does small business lending, specializing with government contractors. So that's really cool. Those guys are awesome, John and his team. And then the last one is LinkedIn Recruiting. Their logo is LinkedIn Hire, but it's LinkedIn Recruiting for small businesses and or staffing companies. If you're looking for top talent and you want to engage them, then check out LinkedIn Recruiting. I want to thank those sponsors. I appreciate it. If you're interested in sponsoring us, please just reach out to me. Hey, do me a favor, put AB check or all good into the chat. For some reason, my phone isn't displaying me, but I'm going to move on to the last slide here of the 3 slides. These are steps that you can take immediately to increase your visibility. And now, if you've been with me in training for a long time, you know that I tend to give like 10 steps, and it's way too many. And so I'm trying to shrink it down and go, these are the steps you can take between now, let's say next, the end of the week, and move forward. So step number one, and I'll show you how to do this in 1 second, but raise your visibility score to 100, right? Get in there and make sure that the federal buyers, when they're doing market research, can find you by making sure you have fixed your profile in their tools, right? I'm going to show you how to see it in my tool, in my guidance, and it's free for you to do this. But you're going to make the changes in the government's tools. The second thing I want you to do is update your LinkedIn profile, and I'll show you in a second example. But when I say update your LinkedIn profile, basically take what you put into DSBS and your capability statement, things like that, and get it into LinkedIn. LinkedIn is crawled or indexed by Google. So if somebody searches on Google for a company like yours, let's say a HubZone cybersecurity firm or whatever, then LinkedIn is part of that results, and you might come up. And so it's very simple steps that you can take to get that done. And the last one I want to recommend is respond to an RFI. If you have a target agency, go find an RFI that's in there, that's in your core competency, and respond to the RFI. When you respond to the RFI, that's one of the best things you can do for visibility, because you're participating in the acquisition lifecycle, and they're appreciative of it. Even if they don't choose you, even if they don't bring you in, you're on their radar. And if you have a target agency, like, and a really good example of this is the Army Contracting Command Aberdeen Proving Ground, right? If I keep responding to opportunities I'm seeing that are coming out of there in the RFI phase, and I'm trying to reach out and build it, they're going to see that I'm serious about wanting to work with them. That is more visibility than you'll ever get from DSBS, because DSBS is only when they go looking. But responding to an RFI, you're kind of putting yourself in their mind. So those are 3 tips. Let me show you how I would do this. Let me go over here really quick. And actually, I was going to pick a company. Let me show you LinkedIn. But really quick, somebody in the chat, put your company name, and I will go show yours, your profile, how to fix it really quick. And don't be somebody who has a 100 score, because there's nothing to show. Okay, so let me show you here. This is LinkedIn, and this is Graham, one of our sponsors. Nina, I appreciate your support. But this is all I want to show you very fast, because I'm running out of time. Right from the headline, or excuse me, right here from her headline, it says delivering professional services, support services, including deaf communication access, etc. This headline is seen anywhere she gives a thumbs up or a comment. And so it makes people go, let me go check her company out, because I'm interested in American Sign Language, whatever it is. And they come back to her profile. When they land on her profile, the first thing they see, and they should see this on yours, is this headline. This graphic that you're looking at basically is done in a PowerPoint. You just do it in PowerPoint, put some bullets, save it as an image file, and you're done. Right? Google it. Right now, if you type Google, how do I build a LinkedIn banner, you'll see Google's AI give you step-by-step, 5 to 10 steps, and anybody can do it. If you go to sit there and get your score to 100, you have trouble with this, just reach out to me and I will help you. But anyways, you can see it says right here what she does. She's telling them website stuff so they can find her. The next thing I want to just show is, as I come down, there's a whole about section that's really big in here. But most importantly, she's got at the top, 8A, woman-owned small business. She's putting her cage code in UEI. These are not sensitive numbers. These are numbers that you want people to be able to go find. And here she's dropping past performances. In the features section, she's got the Graham capability statement. You want to do that same thing. And then the last part that I'll just point out is right here. She's the CEO of Graham. And so she's got the capability statement there as well. She's got some other stuff in here. And she describes both herself in that first paragraph, and then about the company. She's kind of just duplicating the information from the higher section down here, because you never know how people are going to look at it. Let me look to see. I didn't see anybody. Oh, Super Tech. I think I just saw that correctly. Somebody, hopefully I got this right. So let me see if I can do it. Super Tech. Did I do that right? Super Tech. Sorry. InfoSmart Technologies. InfoSmart Technologies. Did I spell that right? There we go. Perfect. By the way, Carr, are you here today? Is that Carr? Yeah, Carr's there. Perfect. So Carr gave me his company stuff, and it's perfect because his score is really bad, but I'm going to help him get it really good in a short amount of time. First thing I can see is that right here, you see how he's got company contract vehicle? This is a tip for everybody. Put that information in DSBS as a past performance. You won that contract. You had to negotiate with the government your GSA rates. Plus, it's just marketing. If you put it in there, it starts looking better. And I provide tips for that. But here's what I would show Carr, right? Is come in here. It's 12:30, but I'm going to keep going for a second. Sorry. But right here, I say capability statement. You need to lead it back to your website. Website needs HTTPS, not HTTP. But you see right here, I'm providing all the written description and a video. He can watch a 1-minute video or 30-second video on how to improve his score and then refresh it once he does it. He does it all over in SBA, connect.sba.gov, but it's really quick to get done. I'm just running out of time there, but that's how he can get to the 100 score and be visible out there. So I encourage you to go to govconinabox.com and figure that out. Okay, here's what I want you to remember. It's your responsibility to be visible, not the government's. Do something daily. Like Carr, I just showed him that thing. He can do one little thing a day, and he'll be at 100 visibility soon. And then last thing is use your customer's target language for marketing. So Carr should go in and figure out what is he selling and how does the government describe it before he begins to populate DSBS and his capability statement to the next level. Hopefully this makes sense. Sorry for a little over. Just remember, government contracting, it's not a secret. It's just a process. I will see you in the next training.